The point of building a parallel economy is to replace these corrupt and untrustworthy institutions which you cannot rely on. Things like public schools or banks, including the Federal Reserve, big tech companies, big pharma, and so on. So in addition to denying them our business, if you can call being forced to fund them our business, we're also going to benefit by providing an alternative product, service, or company to the fleeing customers. So people who need a stable currency and are fleeing the Federal Reserve, people who need education that isn't from the public schools, etc. These are the type of customers that you can capture by building a parallel economy business, and that means helping people live free and independent of these incompetent or intentionally harmful institutions, while also grabbing a piece of their money and power for yourself. It's a win-win for everybody who's not a corrupt psychopath. Starting a parallel economy business is good for you, and it's good for the world. You just have to think about where your interests and expertise meet the needs of people who are currently dependent on the bad guys. Here are a few ideas to get the blood pumping, and at the end of this video, I'll tell you how you can get access to 12 more business ideas so that you can start making money on the parallel economy today. Install off-grid energy and water systems. And here I'm actually showing you a video of a system that I helped install on a family member's property a few years back, and this is a system that we used to water the goats. Collected off the roof, stored, it runs through a few filters in the system, it has a solar panel to run the pump, and it's a complete system. So local infrastructure like water and power is increasingly threatened by centralizing it. That leaves it vulnerable to attacks like an EMP attack that would put out all the power, or a cyber attack that just plants a virus in there. And it also just leaves it vulnerable to natural disasters, which could take it offline. Living in Puerto Rico, that's definitely a constant threat. Not to mention that now public health officials have no problem threatening to shut off power and water to businesses if they don't obey their public health edicts. So one business that you could start to help people break free from these centralized utilities is to provide complete off-grid power, solar, hydro, wind, and rainwater or well systems installations on homes and businesses. So you can sell and install the water filtration systems and gray water outputs that are used to flush toilets and water gardens. You could even educate customers on the off-grid benefits of composting toilets, which turn human waste into safe, rich compost that can actually safely feed a garden. And it's a pretty basic business model. You find wholesalers who will sell this equipment to you for a reasonable price, and then you charge a markup and installation fees. There's different ways you could also market this business by holding classes and teaching people about these sorts of things. And I'm going to have more info at the end of this video on how you can capture the market. Provide education alternatives. If you haven't noticed, people are pretty fed up with public schools. There's critical race theory that indoctrinates children either into having a victim mentality or to believing that they're evil and an oppressor. And then there's the COVID protocols that some schools are still forcing. There's the extremely sexual course material that you probably don't want your kid exposed to at certain ages. And there's the physical danger, and then there's just the poor quality of the education. There's plenty of reasons to not want to be anywhere near public education. So to give parents a better option than screaming at their local school board, you could give them an alternative. So this could be as simple as offering like nanny or babysitting services. Sometimes it's important to be careful with the language that you use. You don't want to run into certain compliance issues with running like an unlicensed business or anything like that. But also just tutoring is another obvious service that you can provide, especially if you're qualified as a public school teacher. And tutoring is obviously nothing new, so you got to focus on the areas of the market that you could capture. And that might be targeting either homeschoolers or starting a micro school. So you got to think about what parents need that they're not getting. Some might feel like they're not knowledgeable enough to homeschool their children in certain subjects. And other people might want a cheaper solution than a tutor or a private school. So for instance, what if 6 families, say, split the cost of a full-time tutor, essentially hiring you to be a a teacher for a class of a few kids from a few different families. You got a little micro school there. So say you want to earn $50 an hour, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 40 weeks per year. That's $60,000 per year for the teacher with 12 weeks off. And it's only $250 per week in session for each of the 6 families participating. There's a million different ways that you could structure this, and there are resources online to actually form those micro schools. And one way to capture this market is to provide the potential customers, the parents, with the information that they need to make this decision. So that means finding out how their kids can still participate in sports being homeschooled, or finding out if they can get money back from the state for homeschooling expenses. That's with school choice in some states. That's available. You can offer additional services like driving kids to extracurriculars. The possibilities are endless here. This is an enormous market right now. You could create a club for community support. Clubs are a great way to engage like-minded community members. You can form it around a type of labor exchange, like everyone chipping in on big projects in the garden at each other's gardens on various weekends. Or you could form it around a common interest, like cryptocurrency, foraging, programming, or being active in local elections. When you charge a membership fee, you're not servicing the general public. You're not open doors inviting anybody in. So you're not going to be subject to all of those same onerous startup costs and regulations for something like a restaurant. But clubs can still be profitable. You can sell tickets to events or ask members to donate when they're having drinks at a meeting, for example. The best way to ensure that you have a trustworthy group is to require new members to be introduced by an existing member, and the founding members could all be part owners or friends and associates who just have mutual interests. What makes a club special is a particular theme, a characteristic that binds everyone together. So your club could be centered around active learning, like a book club, or a physical garden, which every member gets a share of. But the social element still distinguishes clubs from things like a farm share where you simply pick up the food and go home. And sometimes the social aspect of it is all that matters. Like a sports club where you meet to watch games and participate in fantasy drafts. I mean, that's basically just like having the guys over to watch a game, except that clubs profit by hosting the event. So if you have a good event space, you could try hosting a paid event to see if you can generate some interest. So center it around a cause or a charity that the cost of attendance will benefit, so that your friends and acquaintances aren't just like, wait, are you just charging for a regular party? Because that would be kind of weird. You definitely have to structure this like a business and have a bigger goal in mind. And you should be able to explain that goal to your guests and get them excited about this dream of what the club could be. Integrate businesses with cryptocurrency. Become a local crypto evangelist and help businesses accept crypto for their goods and services. There are plenty of tools out there that allow businesses to accept various cryptocurrencies, either more officially through a point of sales cash register system or informally just on their phone. So you could set yourself up as a service provider, selling and maintaining these systems, or as a promoter to bring in customers who want to pay with crypto. You could also tailor the needs to each business owner by helping them either convert currency to fiat if that's what they want to do, or to store it securely in a hardware wallet. Maybe you could even integrate with their suppliers. So not only are you integrating the customers with the business, then when that business goes and buys the supplies they need, maybe that supplier is willing to accept crypto as well. And then you're getting this entire supply chain to function on something that's an alternative to the US dollar. That would be pretty cool. That's definitely something that the right person could do in their local community. Plant food forests and edible self-sustaining landscaping. One method to grow your own food is to set up some self-sustaining food production with little effort through permaculture. By planting in a way that mimics nature, you can let nature automate the process of growing food. That's the idea behind a food forest, and once it's established, you can simply go for a walk and pick what you need. And it's a normal forest cycle. The things that die feed into the soil, and the right types of plants will continue to spread and provide more food. So once you've established your own food forest and you have tested procedures and you found the best plants for your area, then you can use your food forest as a model to show other potential customers. From there, you can either offer your services, designing and planting a food forest for them, or you can hold classes at your own food forest. Those are the first 5 ideas, and again, this is all just a tiny little random sampling of the types of businesses that could really strengthen communities. These types of businesses form a strong foundation that allow people to rely less on these far-flung institutions in Washington, D.C., and more on their neighbors. If you're interested in building and participating in the parallel economy, enter your email address below and receive a free video and text guide on 12 more businesses that you could build to profit from the parallel economy. I'll deliver the resource right to your inbox, and I'm going to follow up with other ways that you can participate in the parallel economy, even if you don't want to start a business yourself or you don't have the money or the energy. Whatever, you can still be a part of this even if you don't want to start that business. So sign up for that below. And I'm also going to send you more info about how this can all form the foundation so that we can actually form a new parallel society. Even something like a new independent country eventually, because when we form this new foundation of social interaction where we can rely on each other instead of these external institutions, that really forms a strong foundation that allows us to really interact with these institutions from a position of strength. It's basically about building enough wealth and power to be a participant at the negotiating table instead of being dictated to from these institutions, which currently dominate society but are not going to for much longer. Definitely join now. Enter your email address. I have tons of free information to send you so that we can get this going together. Because honestly, as weird as the world might be right now, the future's bright. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening, and this is something that we can all do to move the ball forward. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Jarvis. Have a great day.